Hello dear students, so today the topic of our discussion is origin of chordates. So there's no doubt that chordates, they originated from non-chordates, right? But which non-chordate phyla gave rise to chordates, it is not certain. And because there's a wide morphological gap between chordates and non-chordates, and there is no fossil record showing the transition from non-chordates to chordates. It may be because the ancestors of chordates, they were soft-bodied animals whose fossils could not be formed, right? But on the basis of resemblances of chordates with certain higher non-chordates, several theories have been put forward by different scientists like coelenterate theory, nemertine theory, annelid theory, insect theory, arachnid theory, echinoderm theory and ascidian theory. So today we will be discussing in detail these two theories, that is echinoderm theory and ascidian theory. So let's start with the echinoderm theory. So this theory suggests that echinoderms, hemichordates and chordates, they all have a common ancestor, right? So as the name indicates that echinoderm theory means the chordates, they have evolved from the echinoderms. So there was a line of evolution from which the echinoderms and hemichordates, they evolved separately, and several evidences have been put forward to support this echinoderm theory, like embryological evidences, biochemical evidences, serological evidences and skeletal evidences. So now let's discuss these evidences in detail to see how they support the echinoderm theory. So the first evidence that we are going to discuss regarding origin of chordates are the embryological evidences. So embryological evidences, as the name indicates, so it shows resemblances between the embryos of echinoderms and chordates, right? So both the embryos of echinoderms and chordates, they undergo radial and indeterminate type of cleavage, right? Indeterminate cleavage is also known as equipotential. Equipotential means when the blastomeres, they have equal potential to develop into complete embryo till certain stage of development, right? Next resemblance between the embryos of echinoderms and chordates is the presence of enterocoelous coelom. So enterocoelous coelom develops from the archintron by paired lateral outgrowths, right? And third resemblance between both the embryos is the presence of deuterostomous mouth. So what is deuterostomous? When the anus, it develops from the blastopore and mouth develops opposite the anus, right? So that is deuterostomous mouth. So all these terms, radial cleavage, enterocoelous coelom, deuterostomas, this I have already discussed in my previous video. So if you are not familiar with these terms, then please go back and watch that video where I have explained it in detail along with the diagrams, right? And in both the embryos, the central nervous system, it develops from the dorsal strip of ectoderm. So central nervous system is ectodermal in origin in both the echinoderms and chordates. And there is also a great resemblance between the echinoderm larva, that is Bipinnaria larva, and hemichordate larva, that is Tornaria larva, right? So, as you can see, they both have similar oval, minute and transparent body with a tuft of apical sensory cilia. There is a ciliated band all over the body in both the larvae, and there is complete alimentary canal starting from mouth and ending at anus, and the number of coelomic cavities are also same in both the larvae. The interior coelom, it opens out through a dorsal pore which is known as coelopore. So all these resemblances, they show that the echinoderms, hemichordates and chordates, they had a common ancestor. So next are the biochemical evidences. So it has been found that both echinoderms and chordates, they use phosphocreatinine in the energy cycle of their muscle contraction. So during muscle contraction ATP is synthesized, and for that the phosphate group, it comes from this phosphocreatinin, so it is required for the production of ATP, right? So echinoderms and chordates, they use phosphocreatinin in the energy cycle of muscle contraction, but the non-chordates, they use, most of the non-chordates, they use phosphoarginine in the energy cycle of muscle contraction. And it has been found that certain hemichordates and few echinoderms, they use both phosphocreatinin and phosphoarginine in the energy cycle of muscle contraction. So this shows that these hemichordates and echinoderms, they act as connecting links between chordates and non-chordates. So next are the serological evidences. So serological evidences show that in both echinoderms and chordates, the body fluid proteins, they are more closely related than the resemblance between the body fluid proteins of chordates and annelids or arthropods. It means that the body fluid proteins of the chordates, they resemble more closely to the echinoderms. Again, this shows the, or we can say that this supports the echinoderm theory. Next evidence are the skeletal evidences. Skeletal evidences, they also show that both echinoderms and chordates, they have mesodermal endoskeleton. So their endoskeleton is mesodermal in origin in both echinoderms and chordates, right? So till now, the evidences that we have discussed, they all support the echinoderm theory. That is, the echinoderms, they resemble more closely to the chordates. But you know that the adult echinoderms, they have radial symmetry. So this point actually disapproves the echinoderm theory. But actually this is not true, because the larvae of all the echinoderms, they have bilateral symmetry. So the basic symmetry is bilateral symmetry, and this radial symmetry, it has been superimposed over the basic bilateral symmetry, right? So this again supports the echinoderm theory, and this shows that echinoderms, hemichordates and chordates, they all have a common ancestor.
Next theory we will be discussing in the next video. Thank you.